AM and FM WCSR. This is Andy Brown. We're back on a Wednesday night. Rick Arsenault and James Gensterbloom out in the lobby. We'll talk Tigers with them coming up. But our first guest tonight, and I tell you, it's a real thrill to have him here. Hillsdale College wide receiver A.J. Kegg had an opportunity to work out with the Cleveland Browns a little bit ago, and A.J.'s in with us in studio tonight. A.J., how you been, man?
Good. Thanks for having me.
A.J., you're one of my favorite players, and I want to tell you why. It's not just because you're here tonight. I love the way that you play the game, the enthusiasm and the energy and the fun. I can tell from up in the press box doing your games that you love to play football. Isn't that true?
Oh, I love it. It's been a dream of mine. I've been doing it ever since I was little, and, it's a great sport. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I also sense the way that you play is an unselfish game. I mean, we talked a little bit about your career at Hillsdale College, and just talk about how you ended up at Hillsdale College first off, and then we'll get into your career.
Well, coming out of high school, I wasn't really highly recruited. I got looks from some Division III schools, a few like D1 AA non-scholarships, and not really D2, and was not really getting recruited. It was looking around because I wanted to play football in college, and we ended up going to this recruiting fair at a local high school, and ended up meeting one of the recruiters from Hillsdale, was Coach Phelps. He was here.
Mm-hmm.
He was the D-line coach, and met him. Got to talking to him a little bit. I was with some buddies, and we're all getting recruited out of high school, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to give that place a chance. And, I was looking at the brochures and so I was like, oh, well, I want to play a high level, football and see what this place is all about. Ended up taking a visit here, tested out for him, went with my dad actually, and we were leaving the place like, so how do you like it? And I was like, I love it. My dad's like, oh, thank God. So I loved it too. I wanted you to say you loved it, and the football program was kind of like on a downslope, and I'm the type of guy that likes to make a difference and try to make an impact right away, and that's how I ended up here.
A.J. Kegg from the Hillsdale College Chargers and the Cleveland Browns, and we'll talk about that experience in just a couple of minutes. What a thrill for everybody around here with what the guys have done. You get into your career, and I guess as a freshman, you got some time, didn't play a whole lot. I remember Jimmy and I were doing one of your games, and I think I said we're still waiting for Kegg to tap his potential. You probably heard that a few thousand times. So then, as a sophomore, you were part of the offense, and we had a kid named Aaron Waldy on the other side who was, broke a bunch of records that year and everything. And you were catching passes from Mark Nicolay, and you talked about the turnaround. Things were starting to turn around then, right?
Right. Yeah, quickly, and it was because we had some great leadership with Nicolay and Tom Cordy. They were captains at the time, and they were just great leaders and motivated us and kept us working in the off season, during the season, and we were hungry as a team.
And you talked, when we were off the air, you talked a lot about how in high school you were an unselfish guy and you were called on the block and that kind of thing. And your sophomore year, you got some balls, but you were doing a lot of that kind of thing too, weren't you?
Yeah, I didn't mind because,
right.
I'm the type of player that, whatever it takes to win, I'm willing to do it. And whatever the coaches needed me to do, I'll block, I'll catch a few passes, maybe score some touchdowns, God willing. But
well, you did plenty of that in your career. Your junior year, Nicolay's gone. Troy Weatherhead comes in as the quarterback, and it seemed that there was a real chemistry between you and Troy, and he found you a lot of times your junior year, and you had more catches that year than Waldy did as a senior.
Yeah, that's because Troy and I are very good friends. We're all in the same fraternity, and we have the same personality. We like to laugh, joke around, but the reason that was part of it, and another part of it is that they were paying a lot of attention to Aaron because his junior year, he did some big things, some great things, and they were paying a little bit more attention, and that gave me a little bit more room to maneuver and make some plays.
I came in one day and watched some film with your tight ends coach there. I'm drawing a blank. Pat
Hornack?
Yeah. I was watching some film with Pat, and He said, "This is EPR." And I'm like, okay, what the heck is EPR? It's called Extra Point Ready.
Ready, yeah.
And Waldy hit on about 5 of those his junior year. What's EPR?
EPR's a play where we do a lot of end around. We fake the handoff, the reverse, and we actually fake the inside zone because Coach Otter likes to run a lot of inside zone. We fake the reverse because we run the reverse to catch everyone off guard. And while we're all doing that, Aaron was sitting there acting like he was blocking, and they'd bite, and he'd just go down the field, and whether it was Nicolay or Troy, he just let it rip, and Waldy would run under it.
Yeah, he did that a lot of times. He broke a bunch of records as a senior, and you go to your senior year, and it was a weird year, man. I remember going down to Findlay, and we just collapsed in the second half. I mean, Danny and I on the way back home were like, man, what happened? We had the lead at halftime, and we got soundly beaten in the second half in that game, and we had Grand Valley the next week, and, didn't feel real confident going into that game, and, after that Findlay loss. And I guess that's where I want to start talking about your senior year. Was there anything that happened that week between Findlay and Grand Valley that you can think of that sort of helped you to turn this around?
I think as a team, we just kind of like said, hey, we're a very good team. We're on the uprises team. We just got to stick together, keep going at it, have fun at practice, listen to the coaches because they know what they're doing, and, have faith in them. And we just stuck together, rallied, and because we all love to play football. I'll tell you that right now. It's a different type of team.
Do you remember that week? And because it was such a disappointing loss on the road, do you remember? Were you able to have fun at practice that week? I mean, is it after a loss? Are you still able to have fun at a practice?
Well, it depends from person to person, but we're sitting there and we know we got an opponent the next week, and it happened to be Grand Valley, right. And you have a loss, the faster you put it behind you, the better you're going to play the next week. So
we're talking to A.J. Kegg from the Hillsdale College Chargers, a wide receiver who has had a tryout with the Cleveland Browns, and we'll talk to him about that in just a couple of minutes. The Grand Valley game, you'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
Never.
Nobody's ever going to forget it. First of all, it's just an awesome football game. That's first and foremost. And then when you factor in all of the history between the teams and the rivalry, and it'd been a long time since Hillsdale College had beaten them. I can't imagine what it was like for you to play in that game.
Oh, it was such a great experience. It was actually an eerie type of feeling walking into the locker room before the game because it was just a quiet, everyone was quiet, but they looked confident. And I just had like the weirdest feeling, like, I get goosebumps talking about it right now. It's just, I just had a great feeling about it because, we were a great team, and, everyone knew their job, and Coach Otter, believed in us, and we believed in his scheme, and we went from there.
So there was no doubt in your mind that Coach Otter thought you were going to win the game.
Yeah.
Like you could tell the staff, even though you're playing the number one team in the country, we're going to win.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the attitude you have to have. And then, of course, they have the field goal at the end of the game to tie it up. And can you take me back to that moment when it was wide right?
Oh yeah. We were sitting there. I'm always standing in the bleachers because I like to look over everyone. So I was standing on the bleachers, and I think I was holding hands with Vinny and Troy, and we're sitting there like watching the play, and we saw it go right. I actually had to like run off the bleachers and look because I thought for sure it was going in because it's Grand Valley. You never know with them. And once it went right, I jumped up. I actually jumped up into the bleacher or the stands to a few of my buddies who played football the year before, Austin Nemec and Bill Rigner and Brett Lark. So it was a cool experience. And then I ran down the field and gave Troy a big hug.
We've got another segment coming up with A.J. Kegg. We're going to talk about the playoff run that the Chargers had, and then the offseason, which has been exciting as well. A.J. Kegg live in studio. More with him after this on WCSR.
Welcome to Alta. I'm Chad. Please, my girl.